Good evening. Tonight, we have some news that we have to talk about. Wheat prices are going up. Wheat prices are surging after Russia ends the grain deal with Ukraine, and it's not good. Not good for the world's food supply. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the channel, my 30,335 subscribers. Thank you all. We crossed the 30,000 mark a couple days ago. Thank you all for that. Guys, we got to talk about this. Welcome to another coffee rant with Danno here. We're going to discuss some of the news going on. We try to cover everything that has to do with food, and this does have to do with food and prices that are going to be going up. Today we are drinking Pike Place coffee, one of my favorites. Needed something a little strong to discuss this matter. If you have to hit pause to get your coffee together, I completely understand. This is going to be a little bit of a lengthy video, but everything I discuss is going to be kind of my opinion and everything off of CNBC's story here. It's the Europe news on the CNBC website. So we're going to discuss some of these. I'm going to kind of read through some of the article and explain what's going on for those who do not know. I feel this is very important. First, I want to discuss some key points that they talk about here. Hours before the agreement's expiry, Russia said Monday that it would not renew the UN-brokered Black Sea Grain Initiative. So something that was brokered through the UN, they are not... we kind of had a feeling this would happen, and I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Wheat, corn, and soybean prices all have risen in price. Looks like pretty much overnight. Simon J. Evanet, a specialist in global trade and an economics professor at the University of St. Gallen, said Monday that Russia's withdrawal reflects the coup de grace on a deal that was on its last legs. So I think they kind of expected this. They were hoping that they would be able to work out a deal. This is going to be quite troublesome for Ukraine. Now they're going to have to travel a lot further to ship things like wheat and grains, and it's going to end up costing a lot more money, and it looks like they're wasting no time on upping the prices on this stuff. So anything with wheat or grain, they say it's going to affect certain countries, but you know how this goes. Well, we'll say these countries are going to be affected, and then all of a sudden everything's affected. Remember, a big size box of Cheerios is $7, so I don't know. Maybe that'll be going up. Who knows? I don't know, but we're going to go in. Let's get into it here. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe down below. We do these videos to try and help keep you in the know, to try and help save you money in the grocery stores. And anytime we have any kind of news like this, I like to bring it out in like a coffee rant, hang out, talk with you guys about it. And again, anything you have, information of things or things that you would like to discuss, make sure you let us know down in the comments. Let's get into it here. Russia's withdrawal from a critically important wartime deal that allowed the export of Ukrainian grain across the Black Sea has reignited fears about global food security, with analysis describing the initiative's demise as both an inevitable setback and a blow to markets. Doesn't say which markets, just says markets, so we have to assume that it's going to probably affect everywhere. Hours before the agreement's expiry, Russia said Monday that it would not renew the Black Sea Grain Initiative. The agreement, which was brokered by Turkey and the United Nations in July of last year following Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, was a rare diplomatic breakthrough designed to avert a global food crisis. Quote, today, so Kremlin Dmitry Peskov, hope I said that right, Peskov said, today is the last day of the grain deal, as he says, Peskov says, when the respective parts for Russia's benefit are fulfilled, Russia will return to the deal. So, likely never or years to come. We don't know. It's the way things are going over there. I don't know. Russian President Vladimir Putin reiterated these complaints over the weekend call with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. I'm hoping I'm saying these names right. Ramaphosa saying, according to Google Translated report from the Kremlin, that the key objective supplying grain to countries in need, including those on the African continent, had not been achieved. Wheat, corn, and soybean prices all rose on the news. Wheat futures jumped 3% on Monday, hitting a high of 689.25 cents per bushel, its highest level since June 28th, when the contract traded as high as 706.25. So we're getting back up there. Wheat prices remain well below the peak levels of 1,177.5 cents per bushel reached in May of last year. However, corn futures soared to a high of 526.5 cents per bushel, while soybean futures surged to a high of 1,388.75 cents per bushel. And again, I have looked at a couple of other sites. I've looked at some other different news outlets and stuff. The reason why I'm using CNBC's here is because it's the most clear. It's worded right. All of this is happening. It did happen, and we'll go into that as well. Simon J. Evanet, a specialist in global trade and an economics professor at the University of St. Gallen, said Monday that Russia's withdrawal reflects the coup de grace on a deal that was on its last legs. He cited UN shipping data that showed shipments have been steadily falling year to date. So something's been going on anyway. The demise of the Black Sea deal is a blow to nations sourcing cheaper Ukrainian wheat, so long as this doesn't trigger lots of export bans. The deal's demise is a minor disturbance, as Evanet said in email. However, going forward, what matters is whether Russia weaponizes its wheat exports, he added. During the last and current harvest cycle, Russia was the world's largest supplier, exporting around 45 million metric tons. Evanet said market participants should closely monitor the prospect of Moscow imposing an export tax increase, given that this would likely raise grain prices further and help the Kremlin to finance its military campaign in Ukraine. So, other things at play here. This is upward pressures on food prices. We're going to have to pause for a second. And it gets into some really interesting things here in a couple minutes. It is a lengthy... It's a lengthy article, but there are some key points here that I would like to discuss after we go over this. Some of this stuff, let's see. Peter Soretti of Eurasia Group told CNBC that the political risk consultancy does not expect the deal suspension to trigger a fresh bout of potentially destabilizing global food inflation in the near term. Right. Yet it's 3% overnight. Russian shipments of grain will continue, and the deal's demise will not entirely halt Ukrainian shipments via the Black Sea or those through Europe either. I mean, that's not necessarily true, though, because if Ukraine's having to move its shipments across the board and not be able to do that through the Black Sea, then yes, that is going to drive the cost up immensely. Plus, with everything else going on over there, I don't know. It could get ugly. Going forward, however, the end of the grain deal will add to other upward pressures on food prices. Yes. I swear, sometimes it's crazy. It's like, did they read the paragraph before? Going forward, however, the end of the grain deal will add to other upward pressures on food prices, such as drought in Europe and the onset of El Nino. Yeah, let's start blaming things. The markets most affected by the deal's collapse will be states in North Africa and the Levant that import large volumes of grain from the Black Sea region. And that is what Soretti has said here. Since being signed in July last year, the UN says the Black Sea Grain Initiative has allowed more than 32 million metric tons of food commodities to be exported from 3 Ukrainian Black Sea ports, Odessa, Kramatorsk, and Pedeni, previously known as Yuzhny, to 45 countries worldwide. It is this reason that the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has described the deal as playing an indispensable role in global food security. Guterres said in early July that the agreement, quote, must continue, end quote, at a time when conflict, the climate crisis, energy prices, and other factors roil into production and affordability of food, while 258 million people face hunger in 58 countries worldwide. Ugh. Okay, so it's going to affect everyone. That's when reading this, the numbers thing, when you start getting into numbers that are in those totals, we're looking at serious numbers. We're looking at numbers that are going to be well beyond this. People always give the low ball number, right? And that's everything. That's everything because they're playing it safe. They go on to say, and after this, again, going to give a little bit, we're going to chat here for a couple minutes on some of this and why I feel this is very important, and we all should, really. I hope you're stocking up. Stock up on your flour, stock up on your wheat, stock up on things that you know you're going to want to have in your pantry, because this is going to cause prices to skyrocket even more than they already have. Whether it affects you or not, eventually, at this moment, it will in the future, because we've seen these things before. Carlos Mira, head of an agricultural commodities market at Dutch lender Rabobank, Rabobank, that's what it says, R-A-B-O Bank, Rabobank, said Monday that world investors had been bracing for a cancellation. Russia's withdrawal was a, quote, blow to markets. Well, if you knew it was coming, yeah, it's a blow to markets, but how long did you know? How long did you know this was coming? Sounds like you've known ever since, 2 years ago when this started. So hopefully people have been figuring out how they're going to work this out. I don't know. But anyway, so Mira said the initiative had supported price stability and prevented shortages across the developing world. Quote, Ukraine will now be forced to export most of its grains and oilseeds through its land borders and Danube ports. This will significantly drive up transportation cost and cost to you, and pile further pressure on Ukrainian farmer profits, he added. Quote, the knock-on effect of this could prompt them to plant less next season, placing further pressure on suppliers going forward. Most definitely. Ultimately, Mira said the development means low-income countries in Africa and the Middle East will likely become more dependent on Russian wheat, a country that represents more than 20% of global wheat exports. Corn, wheat, soy, this stuff is in everything. Everything. I mean, everything we make is in these products. So everything that's affected is going to be going up in price, right? These are things that, as to where, they're talking about other countries, did not specifically name North America, did not specifically name the United States here. But you better believe that this is going to affect us in the future. And that's why we always talk about being prepared. We already know that there are some shortages, presuming shortages that are coming in the near future. And whether they do or not, like I always say, it's good to be prepared anyway. Okay, now we've gone over lists from different articles of things like rice and sugar and oil, cooking oils and stuff like that, flour, things that are going to be in short supply. Why are we doing absolutely nothing to talk this out to stop this war? It seems like all we're doing is poking and prodding and doing things to encourage it to keep going, right? I mean, why? It doesn't seem like anybody's really stepping up, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody or anything, but this just continues to get worse and worse and worse, and it's like, why does it seem like none of the people who are considered good people doing anything? It does, at least from what I've seen and from what I've read, it doesn't look like anybody is trying to stop this. And I know there's things that they're trying to do and work out, sure, and they just keep, money doesn't solve everything, okay? And Some things I just don't really want to talk about. Some things you probably already know, but there are things that are going on that it's like, come on now. Like now it's starting to affect all their moves, all their little chess pieces and everything are starting to infect the entire world. Did I say infect? I mean affect. Or did I? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you think about that. But anyway, I just don't understand. Like, it's that old saying, like, why can't we just all get along? You know? and I know everybody's going to have mixed opinions and views of this. Just wanted to get this information out here. One other thing, there was they're saying an attack on the bridge that leads from the Russian mainland to Crimea, right? So, and this happened right after this deal ended, right? So is that a coincidence? No, I don't think it is. And the thing is it's gonna get worse, guys, as far as prices go, and I'll leave it at that. I will leave it as things that are going to end up costing more money. And I hate to talk about these things when I know that lives are being lost and terrible things happening over there right now. And I hate to, it's just, this is kind of what we do on the channel. I want you to be prepared. Be prepared for these things. When we see these things happen that are going to affect us initially, directly, we need to be aware of these things. But don't think that I haven't thought for a second that I don't want to forget about all the useless war and everything that's going on over there that's causing a lot of these issues, not just for themselves, but it's causing around the world. It's causing, if nothing else, it's causing a lot of heartache, right? I mean, it needs to end. It is 2023. It just doesn't seem like this should be going on. And my heart goes out to all the families and the children and people whose lives are being lost of this. And I'm just like, wow, can't we just somehow work together? You know, can we put away our differences? And I know everybody has such greedy minds out here that they want this, they want this, they want this, you know, and it's just, it just has to end. It has to end. And I hope that the right people step up and try to help it, work this out in a better way than what's going on. I mean, now I feel like it's too late. Like, things have just gotten so bad for so many people. It's like, I don't know. Those were kind of the heartstring thoughts in my head while I was talking about this. It's like, here we are talking about food and food prices and how expensive they're getting. And there are lives being lost over this overseas. Whether, I think about the families. I think of everybody outside of the different military aspect of everything. Look at all the people that are suffering. And it's like, I hate to, it's really the first time I've brought up any of this on the channel here, but I really just wish that the right people would step up and do something about this. Verbally, not physically, right? We should be past all this crap going on. It needs to end. It needs to end, and we need to work things out in a good way, in a smart way, in a way that benefits everybody, right? Stop all the craziness. And then there's other things I want to talk about. Let me know down in the comments some of the things that you would like to say where we can keep it in the comments, because some of the things I just don't want to say on the video here, but I'm sure a lot of you are thinking what I'm thinking. And it's just, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking seeing all this stuff, reading all this stuff, and just wanted to put this out here because there's been a lot of you who had been talking about different wheat and grain shortages and stuff, and this is probably in part of what you were talking about. Wanted to put this out here for all of our viewers so that we are all aware of what's going on, because when we hear something like this and we hear like, oh, well, this could affect this person. Well, no, it's probably going to affect everybody. And even if it doesn't, we still need to be prepared like it would, because, it's like, if it doesn't, cool, I'll have a few extra bags of flour. If not, well, then I guess we just have an extra few bags of flour. So, I don't know. Again, let me know your thoughts down below. It was kind of disturbing to hear all this, especially the aftermath after this deal ended. I was like, oh, well, for whatever talk and everything else that you could have done to save this thing that you did, or whoever did it, I don't know, right? But it just seems like this was retaliatory, you know. I don't know. It seems like whatever chance we had of saving that specific deal that was going to keep a lot of these prices down is no longer here. So, guys, again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Have a great evening.